Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of College and Career. I'm so sorry. Wrong day. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another social emotional workshop. And today we will be talking about stages of change and goal setting. Joe, welcome back. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Tony. Glad to be here. This training here is one of the last professional development trainings. And the next series that we're going to have, they're all going to have a parenting background. So we're going to do run a series of parenting presentations like effective discipline, how to gain cooperation, building self-esteem, girl power, value of fathers. We have a whole list of these family-orientated parent presentations. So that's going to be another interesting series. But today, again, we're here for the stages of change and goal setting. Caitlin Mosliak is our can you say your name again, Caitlin?
Malozic.
Malozic. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So she'll be monitoring the chat. So when I ask for some responses, if you don't want to unmute yourself and talk, just type them in the chat, and Caitlin will read them off for us. All right, well, let's get started here. Talk about our objectives. We're going to understand the emotional stages of change. Nobody likes change. Change is scary. Change is frustrating. So we're going to talk about how we emotionally kind of go through change. And then the levels of needs on how the needs that we meet are going to help us get through that change a little bit more effectively, because if our needs aren't met, then we're unbalanced, just like some of the previous trainings that I've done. You can see on how we get our needs met, our emotional management and stuff. So we really need to understand the level of needs to help us kind of progress through these changes a little more effectively. And then review some 8 principles of successful change. What do we need as a person, as skills in ourselves that's going to help us be successful gains of change? And then an action plan. So there's a lot of kind of self-reflection, and if you have a notepad and a pen that you can write down some of the things for an action plan. And then hopefully we can have fun with it, and maybe some people can share some of their change ideas or what they need to change or what they'd like to change. So the icebreaker here is just asking these questions. Do you have any goals in life or at work? So anybody in the audience, just kind of, you can disclose a goal if you feel confident enough, or you could just self-review it in your mind, or you can write it down on a piece of paper right now. Do you have goals?
I have one.
Yes.
I have been going to the gym daily for going on 2 months, and I completely cut out my very bad habit of the energy drinks and the soda on a daily basis. So that's my goal, is to continue doing so.
Oh, all right. So you already kind of reached your goals. You want to maintain that goal.
Yeah, I want to maintain them. I have a habit of sometimes getting to a certain point and then, kind of just getting comfortable. And my goal is not to get too comfortable with achieving part of my goal.
Great. Yeah, the beginning of that goal, meeting those goals is kind of easy because all we need is willpower. We can meet them, but how do we maintain them? So that's the whole kind of lifestyle change. So thank you for sharing that.
No problem. Thank you.
I have some goals, and I review these goals every once in a while, but then they just come in one side and fall out the other side. I have a goal of learning a musical instrument, and I make that goal, I don't know, probably every year or 2 or 3 years, every 5 years. I say I'm going to learn a musical instrument. I want to learn a second language. I want to lose some weight. So I have a lot of goals that kind of go in my head, but how focused am I on them? And I have written them down a couple times. And I have probably a journal tucked away under my coffee table somewhere that probably has some goals about 5 years old that I haven't opened up and reviewed in a while. So we really do need to write them down. So ask yourself, if you do have that list of goals, do you think about writing them down? And the last question, do you review these goals? Weekly, monthly, yearly? So a lot of us may have goals, but we keep them in their mind. We don't get them on paper. We don't have a plan for them, and we don't review if we met them or not. So some great 3 questions here to self-reflect. So hopefully you all wrote a goal down. And when I say goals, I mean, we don't want too many goals and overwhelming. Sometimes we can just focus on one goal at a time. So the emotional stages here, the psychological stages that we go through when change comes, they're kind of similar to that Kubler-Ross stages of grief, where it was denial, anger, bargaining, then depression, then acceptance. So they're pretty similar to that 5 stages of grief. But here's the stages. In the mood here, so we have some high moods, and then it goes down into the low moods here. So when change occurs, first it's shock and denial. Like, oh, here we go again. And now everything's flipped upside down. No way, I'm not doing it. I'm not changing. And then you go into the anger. I'm sick and changing, I'm not. And then all that emotion comes out. And then it goes into the fear of change. What's going to happen when change happens? Am I going to be able to learn this, or am I going to lose my job? Am I going to be able to change with the times, or am I going to be stuck? And it keeps on going down to that sense of loss, and to maybe even that despair that we have, that we aren't changing with the times or the technology or the relationship. And then as we're going up, there's going to be some resistance to change. So now, all right, maybe should change, but I'm going to resist it and come up with some excuses not to change. And then we're going to explore some of the change, increasing the confidence of that change, and then a commitment. And now it's a lifestyle. So to tell you a story about my grandmother, and this is years ago, or like 30 years ago or more. I don't remember what year the microwave came out. But my grandmother lived with us. My grandfather died. They lived in California. She came and moved in with us. So, and she did all the cooking. She was guilty about moving in with her daughter, my mother. So she did a lot of work. You know, she was doing the housework and the cooking and the washing because she wanted to earn her keep. And she was a great cook. So anyways, the microwaves came out. So now it's for us buying a microwave and applying that microwave into our kitchen. She was in shock and denial. What is this magic box? No way, this is never gonna work, and this is evil. And she had all that denial and shock about this. Then the anger and the fear, what's gonna happen to her way of life, her cooking on the stove, using the stovetop and the ovens and baking and all this wonderful stuff. So she goes into that shock and anger and fear. Then the sense of loss of her way of life, all the things in her history of cooking and stuff. So, and I don't know if she went all the way down into despair, but then there's some resistance. Yeah, it might be good. I could use this, but you know what? I don't want to. So now maybe she's exploring. So we did get a microwave. So now she's exploring and saying, well, you know, it might be good to warm up a cup of coffee. You know, so now she's exploring some ability to go with the change. Yeah, it might be good to warm up some leftovers once in a while. And then you start increasing the confidence of using that new technology. And now there's a commitment. How could we live without a microwave? And I just like that story about my grandmother because I remember her frustration and denial and total resistance to getting a microwave in our house. But after all those emotional stages, we kind of become kind of comfortable and increase that confidence and commit to that change. Can anybody think about a change that they've had, not that you have to share, that you went through this emotional stage and you went down in there? When I first changed careers and I learned we had a system of data collection, and then all of a sudden I get used to it. I'm trained on it. Now they change it. Now they change the whole thing to tier on how we collect all of our classes and organize them. All right, so that's frustrating and annoying. Then you learn that. And now tier is going away. Now we have to learn this new system. And it's like, every time you change something, I get all stressed out and angry and have to learn this whole thing. So think about some things in your life that you went through these emotional changes. Now this one here, this one is that Transtheoretical Model Stages of Change. This is kind of used in the psychology into addictions and people who have a substance use disorder or even a mental health challenge, on the stages they go through, or are they ready to change? So if somebody has a substance use disorder and you want them to get some treatment and help, if they're in that pre-contemplation, there is no way. No, it is closed off. I will not change. So if they're at that level, you know that we can't force them, or we have to understand that things have to progress. Now, and we do an assessment on that person to see if they're at the pre-contemplation, then we have to use some motivational interviewing to try to get them to see that some of their behaviors might not be the healthiest for them. The next is that contemplation. Well, maybe I should reduce my drinking, or maybe I should, start changing my ways of some way. Then the preparation. That's when they're like, all right, I will change. And now they're preparing and planning ways that they can change. What do they need to do? So they're making the plan. And then the action is doing that plan, and then the keep going. Whoever shared that one that they met some of their goals, how are we going to maintain that and keep going? But in the recovery and the sustainability of that change, there's relapses. So when the relapse happens, it goes back through that system again. And in my career, we use this strategic prevention framework of change. And this could be a change of a family or a change of the whole community. The strategic prevention framework has these 5 sections here. First, we need to assess the community, the school, the family, the individual, but this is for like community organizers. And they're going to assess the community or the school to say, what's going on in this school or in this family? What are the problems that are occurring? So we're going to assess to find out what is going on that needs to change. And the green circle is the capacity, which is who's on our team. What do we have available? Is it finances? Do we need to find finances? Is it a building we need to meet? Is it the people we need to reach? Who's on our team? What resources do we have to join together and to deal with this problem that we found through the assessment? So the next one is planning. So now we're going to plan. So we have our team together, we have our resources together. So now we're going to plan a way to deal with that problem that we found out through the assessment. So do we need the research-based curriculums? How are we going to address and have this plan to address that problem? So we need to plan on how we are going to do it. And then the implementation here. So now we have to apply that plan. Who's going to apply it? How often are we going to apply it? So now we have to say, when are we going to do it? How often are we going to do it? And we have to find the right people to do it. And then we need to evaluate. So after we apply it, we evaluate. Did it make a change? And then if the evaluation is a positive or negative, then we go through that planning process again and the implementation process again and evaluate. So that's what we do as prevention specialists and community organizers. All right, so that's all like different processes of changes and such. But now, here's a riddle, and you can type it in the chat and answer the riddle, or you can unmute yourself, of course. 5 frogs sitting on a log. 3 decide to jump off. How many are left? Anybody good at riddles out there?
I don't know, it seems obvious, but I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, there's a little pride, and I like to see the answers. Yeah, so there's a trick in here. There's something going on behind that question.
Yeah, something.
We have one answer in the chat from Michelle saying there are still 5 frogs.
All right. Anybody else?
Trying to find one in the bush.
Nope, there's just 5 frogs sitting on that log. 3 decide to jump off. How many are left? Any math wizards out there?
Well,
there are 0 left because
yeah, well,
3 decided and the other 2 followed.
So yeah, the 3 did it and the other 2 got spooked and jumped off. And see, that's the philosophy I want to talk about.
yeah.
All right, so none left. What about you, Gerald? I know your wheels are turning and you're scared to answer that question because you might be wrong.
Well, no, I'm not afraid to answer it because I know it's wrong. But 3 decided to jump off. But the thing is, did they jump off?
All right, philosophize. So that would be the answer that 5 are still left, like the one person said in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, 3 decided to jump off, but they only decided. There was no action, so there's still
Right.
5 left on the log. All right, great. So now let's talk about stages of change. So these steps here, we need to identify what you want to change. So what is the most important behavior or mindset you want to improve or change? We need to get it out of our head and we needed to write it down. And then what's really powerful and motivating is listing the rewards of this behavior change. What would that be? What would the rewards be? So if one of mine was to learn that musical instrument, I really want to learn a musical instrument, either the guitar or the piano. And I have written them down before, but I didn't check them. I just wrote it down, closed the book. It's in my head, kicking around a lot, but I never really kind of focused on it. List the rewards. It'd be so cool, man, at a party or I go to somebody's house, they have a piano, I always liked the guy or the girl who would pick up that instrument at a party or social event and start playing and everybody gathers around and it's like, wow, that's awesome. So we need to find out what you want to change, list those rewards that you'll have from that change. So if it's money, what are the rewards? Not stressing over lining up which bill to pay first. If it's weight, think about running and playing with your kids if you're not able to do that. So whatever that change is, list those rewards. And then to explore the barriers to success. What's going to block you from reaching that goal? So we're going to foresee and look forward to say what's going to block you from reaching that. So if I wanted to lose weight and I was going to wake up in the morning and run before work, what's the barrier to that? I would have to say that I don't like cold mornings and I'm really wake up kind of slow. So I might decide not to run a lot because the barrier is I'm not a morning person. And I have to kind of assess that to say, you know what, it would be better to run after work or in the evening or something like that. So what or who is gonna stop you from gaining that goal? And then remind yourself that these results don't occur instantly. So if it's that weight goal again, I am going to understand that I'm not going to lose, 2, 3, 4 pounds a week. Maybe I will, but I'm not going to lose 10 pounds a week. So I understand that it takes time. There is that theory of, let's see it, what's it called? Well, that'll come back. I just lost my train of thought there. And it might be in the PowerPoint coming up. So to prepare that change, why do I want this? If there's a why out there, you're going to find a how. So why do I want this change? How will I feel completing this? So that was on that previous slide. Why do you want this? What is that goal? And what's going to happen when I complete it? How's my life going to change? Is it going to improve my life? What are the barriers? What are the resources needed? What do I need? Do I need running shoes? Do I need warmer clothes that aren't bulky? Those tight running clothes so you can run in the cold without, sweating. When do I start? And then we need to measure them. And you can jump on the scale daily or weekly, or you can look in your bank statement to see. The best way to measure is numbers. It's hard to measure a relationship, but we need to measure, am I reaching those goals? And if not, why not? Now there's 2 levels of change, and I got this through my psychology degree here, and I remember this because I really liked it. That the 2 levels of change. The first one is that willpower that we were talking about. So the beginning, it's easy. I just willpower myself not to do whatever it is I want to change. And that can last a while, just like a New Year's resolution. You can willpower and not eat chocolate or lose weight or, start exercising or saving money, whatever that is. And you can willpower it, but that's only going to last for so long. The second level of change is a lifestyle change, where now you're not even thinking about it anymore because this is your lifestyle. I'm not have to saying, oh, I want that piece of cake, but I'm not going to eat it today. Instead of seeing that cake and have no interest in it because you love your lifestyle and what you're doing is filling your needs. So my next little riddle here, not really a riddle, but finish this sentence that I'm sure a lot of people have known. Practice makes fill in the blank.
We have progress.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one before. Yeah, practice makes progress. All right. What else we got? Practice makes perfect. That's a really popular one, and mostly everybody says that one. Yeah. So those are the only 2 P words that we hear in that kind of verbiage. And drum roll, please. Practice makes permanent. Now, practice makes perfect. Yeah, great. But if you're not learning the right way, if you're practicing the wrong thing and it makes it permanent, then it's going to be a lot harder to change. When I go into schools and I see how kids hold their pencils, and they hold them all different kinds of ways. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen somebody, hold that pencil that way. That was kind of interesting. Or if we are learning, like I was a chef in my past career, and I have a certain way to hold the knife, the proper way that I was taught in culinary school. And then now I know somebody who owns a restaurant, a rookie chef, and they hold the knife really weird and it's unsafe. So I'm trying to teach them how to hold the knife. But they learned the way they hold the end of the handle, which is really sloppy. So instead of pinching the blade between their pointer finger and their thumb, and it's really hard for them to change because what they learned the wrong way. So practice makes permanent Doesn't mean it's good or bad. It means what are you practicing? Because what you're practicing is going to stick really hard. And then if it's the unhealthy thing or ineffective way, then it's going to be really hard to unlearn that. Because to make a change, we have to unlearn what we know, and then we have to have a new process and relearn something new. And a quick story, my ski lesson story. A buddy and me, we used to go skiing all the time. We loved it. 2-3 times a year up in Boyne Mountain in Canada, and never took a lesson. He taught me how to ski when I was like 15 years old. And we skied, go down any hill on the mountain. Double black diamond, it doesn't matter, the hardest hill on the mountain. And I never took a lesson. I don't think he's ever taken a lesson too. So we always kind of laugh at the people in the groups, on the side of the mountain with the ski instructor. And we're like, look at those people, blah, blah, blah. And we never took a ski lesson for 10 years. And I thought I was a pretty awesome skier. So for a goof, we had this package where we had free ski lesson, free stay, free lift tickets, free ski lesson. And just for a goof, we're like, well, let's take a ski lesson. So we took the ski lesson, and it changed my life. I couldn't imagine. I was skiing all wrong. I was skiing when I made the turns, my downhill ski was ahead and my uphill ski was behind. And that was wrong. Your uphill ski goes in front. And it was hard to change because I learned 10 years turning wrong. But once I started learning the proper way, or the most effective way, it improved my skiing tenfold. And I couldn't imagine how easy skiing was after I took that lesson. And I have the Maslow's hierarchy of needs down there, because when we are changing and when we are growing, some of the lower levels of that pyramid need to be met. The physiological needs of just food, water, air, the safety needs of housing, of a job, just the safety. Because if I didn't have safety, or if I didn't have my physiological needs, if I was hungry, I'm not going to care about if I belong anywhere or my esteem. I just want a darn sandwich. And I don't care how I behave and how I react, because I just need a glass of water or a sandwich. So some of these lower level needs of our physiology and our safety and our belonging, fitting in somewhere, then to our esteem, which is our self-worth and loving ourselves. Belonging is being loved by somebody else. Self-esteem is loving ourselves, to reach that self-actualization on the top. And that self-actualization is that total confidence, is that total diversity, understanding and accepting facts, being really objective, peaceful. But until we get to there, we need a lot of those lower level needs met. So if we're changing, and change is hard, we really need to make sure that these hierarchy of needs are being met throughout the process. Now, the 8 principles, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because these were in all of our previous professional development trainings, a lot of them, I should say. Accepting reality. That's that, what is that? Serenity prayer, right? Give me the strength to change the things I can, the courage to accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So accepting reality. And I don't know if I said this in the past, the definition of a problem. Does anybody remember the answer to that, the definition of a problem, if I said that in past trainings? Does anybody have the definition of a problem? It's a very interesting definition. And I don't know if this is in the Webster Dictionary.
We have something that you cannot solve.
Okay, interesting. Something that you can't solve. interesting philosophy, because in my perception here, it's just the opposite of that. A problem is something that has a solution. Because there's a problem. There's a math problem, there's a solution. There's a relationship problem, there's a solution. A problem is something that has a solution. Now, if there's a problem that doesn't have a solution, guess what? It's not a problem. It's reality. If there is no solution to that problem, then that's reality. And if you live your life like there should be a solution, I want there to be a solution. If there's no solution, then I'm just going to be miserable. No, that's reality, and you need to accept that reality. So now you need to solve the problems that this reality is causing. So now, if there's no solution for the problems in here, then that's reality. Then it keeps on going down and down. Although a lot of times there are solutions to the problem, but we just don't know what they are. So that's when we need to go out and do some research to what's our capacity, what's available in our community, what workshops, what lessons, trainings can I take, TED Talks, books. So how can I solve this problem? There's usually a solution out there for a problem. We just don't know what it is. But if there's not, then that's reality, and we have to solve the problems that that reality is causing. See the glass, that's the optimism, seeing that glass. So we need to be optimistic for successful change. We can't turn on our pessimistic views and seeing that glass is half empty. Focus on that vision. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about goals coming up here. That seek authenticity, you know, be authentic. I remember Tuesday I talked, know the devil's inside so the devil's outside can't hurt you. Be authentic, be you. Because if we're changing and we're being what other people want us to be, that change isn't going to be effective. It's not going to be stable. Commit to self-discipline. We are in charge of every decision we've ever made in our lives. Being on this call right now, sitting in the chair that you're sitting, picking your background that you're picking on your Zoom, every choice that you've ever made since you've been born led you to sitting in front of your computer right now, that we have control over every decision that we make. And then managing that stress, and we talked about that in previous trainings of self-management, regulation, emotional intelligence, and just that having that outlook, that positive outlook, that growth mindset. From Tuesday, we talked about that fixed mindset and growth mindset. So if we have all these 8 principles, and this is kind of like our characteristics, right? Our personality, our values, our attributes, that's going to help us be more successful when we do need a change in our lives. This guy, Jim Rohn, I used to listen to him a lot. He's kind of a success leader, like a life coach in business and such. I used to listen to a lot of his CDs. Well, back then, his cassettes. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And I think he mentioned in a workplace, he said, if you had a really difficult job, he would give it to the laziest person on the team. Is that interesting? You have the hardest, most difficult job. He gives it to the laziest person on the team. And people are like, why would you do that? He said, because the laziest person on the team will find the easiest way to get it done. I love that one. All right, so let's get into goals, because with all this change, we're going to need goals. So like all the things I told you in my journal, all those things. I want a new language, I want a second language, I want to lose weight, I want to learn a musical instrument. I got those goals, but why? Well, I have the goals, but this is why don't people make goals? So why do you think people don't make goals? Do you know anybody that doesn't make goals? They just live their life 5 minutes at a time?
They don't want to be held accountable.
Ooh, I like that one. Yeah, if I say something, if I say a goal, I don't want somebody to throw that back at me. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I like that one.
Sarah says that they're scared they won't achieve them.
Yeah,
All right, that would be embarrassing. Yeah.
afraid of failure.
What was that one?
I said afraid of failure.
Afraid of failure.
Afraid of all negative outcomes, and they don't want to be accountable.
Yep. Okay, so there's a lot of fear in those responses. Fear and embarrassment. Pessimistic attitude. Why should I change? Who cares? Nothing's going to happen. There's that fear. They don't value the change. No, they don't know the value if they do, what benefits they would have from it. They don't know how. I want to change, but I just don't know how to. Through that prevention circles we talked about, they don't have their capacity. They don't know what they need to change, where to go to change. And the fixed mindset from last week, or not last week, from Tuesday, maybe they just have the fixed mindset is I can't do it. Either I'm good or I'm bad. I wasn't able to, my fingers just don't move to play the guitar like that because I can't ever learn. Attach those old habits. Remember, practice makes, when you say perfect, well, you just learned an old habit and you do it perfectly, but it's not filling your needs. It's not the healthiest behavior. And then some of that ambition and that low self-esteem, like I really can't do that. All right, quizzing you guys again. Why do goals fail? Say we make them, but they failed. Why would a goal fail?
Lack of commitment.
Lack of motivation.
Motivation.
I would say too personally that they're too hard to obtain. They're not realistic.
Oh, all right. Yep. So we made two. I like if I wanted to save money, I say I want to make $1 million. That's impossible. That's not realistic.
And we have the lack of planning, and then the thought that does the goal ever really ever completely fail? Maybe you grow from trying to reach them.
I like that one. If we don't reach them, at least we grew and learned some skills along the way. I like that philosophy. And you guys said some of these. All right, not written down, but I guess we can meet our goals even if they're not written down. If you have that characteristic in you, right? You have those attributes in you, that resiliency and tenacity. I mean, I've reached some goals without writing them down. I'm not a journaler and I don't write things down, but I have met goals. But if there is something you really want to focus on, I mean, writing them down makes them real and concrete. Caitlin, you mentioned not realistic. Oh, they keep changing. You keep pushing moving the goalpost. Oh, no timeline. That's my problem right here. No timeline. I want to learn a second language, but what, in the next year or the next 10 years? I don't have a timeline for it. Although I did make some timelines, but they just fell away and I didn't reach them. So we need goals. We need them to be written down. We need to measure them because goals provide direction. They keep us focused. And I bolded to help make decisions because, especially with the youth, if they don't have any goals, then they really don't really have to decide on anything. If I had a goal to raise my GPA or to pass this class, and somebody said, hey, you want to go to a party this weekend? But I had a goal to pass this class on Monday. I would have to filter that decision through my goals to say, wow, if I went to this party, I probably won't study as much and I won't meet that goal. So if I have goals, every decision that I'm going to make, I'm going to have to filter it through my goal setting. Now, if I was a teenager and I didn't have any goals, and somebody says, hey, you want to go to a party this weekend? You'll be like, yeah, sure, why not? Nothing else to do. And I would just go to the party. But if I had a goal to pass a class on Monday, or to raise my GPA, or to get into college, then I would have to make that decision and filter it through that goal setting that I have. So they control your future, they motivate you, they help you have this personal satisfaction. So if I have a goal, I feel good about myself because I have direction. I know where I'm going, and I could have a sense of dignity and power in my life, that autonomy, and it gives you purpose. And these are a couple of my favorite quotes on goal setting. If you don't know where you're going, you'll probably end up somewhere else. That's that reason it helps you make decisions, because, hey, if I don't have goals, who knows where I'm going to end up? And then my favorite one, a goal without a plan is just a wish. My father used to say, wish in one hand and spit in the other. I won't use the words he used, and see which one fills up faster. Right? I can wish. I wish I had $1 million. I wish I had that girlfriend. I wish I had a car. I wish I was smarter. I wish I was taller. I could have been a baller. We have these wishes, but I think somebody laughed at that, I hope. So we have these wishes. So I asked my son, what is your goal? He says, to be rich. And then I asked the kids, I said, what do you think the next question I asked my son? What is your goal to get there? And what is his answer? I don't know. He wishes to be rich, but he doesn't know how to get there. And that's why we need goals. And here's Jim Rohn again. Jim Rohn says, and somebody mentioned this earlier in this presentation, the ultimate reason for setting goals is to entice you to become the person it takes to achieve them. Jim Rohn said he became a millionaire before he was 30 years old, and then he lost it all. And then he complained and he was upset about it. And then he went to his mentor, and his mentor says that it wasn't about the $1 million. It was about the person that you had to become to get $1 million. And then Jim Rohn went on and made $1 million again, and then he just went on. And thank you, I remember somebody mentioning that earlier in the presentation here, that it's not about that, it's about who you have to become to meet those goals. All right, so I watched this TED Talk by Reggie Rivers over here, and he put a little twist on this goal setting. He mentioned that if you want to reach your goals, don't focus on them. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, wow, that's everything I wasn't taught. I was always taught to focus, have a vision, what's it called? A vision board, focus on your goals. But he says, don't focus on your goals. Goals are not under your control. Your behaviors are under your control. Sure, we have this vision at the top, but if we focus on that vision, it's kind of discouraging. Or we feel that goal is there, that vision is there, but we really need to focus on our behaviors. That's the only thing we have control over. So what tasks do we have to do to reach our objectives? that's going to reach our goals and reach our end vision. So for school, if I wanted to get into college, all right, college is my vision. Or becoming a doctor, let's put that the vision, becoming a doctor. Now, if I focus on becoming a doctor all the time, I might not reach that. So what's it going to take to become a doctor? Well, I'm going to have to wake up and go to school today, right? I can't get tardies. I can't lower, fail tests and stuff. So that brings us to these short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. So if I wanted to be a doctor, the big picture on the top, what short-term goal do I need to reach that? I need to wake up in the morning. And I always tell the youth about school, like, you need to wake up in the morning and get to school on time. That's a short-term goal. Now, you achieve those short-term goals, you need to study. You need to not get kicked out of class today. And these short-term goals are going to lead to our midterm goal. Maybe the midterm goal is raise your GPA the next semester. So that's a midterm goal. So what do you need? What are the short-term goals you need to raise your GPA? By being on time, by studying, getting up in the morning, going to bed early. All those are short-term goals that are going to lead us and make us raise our GPA. Long-term goal might be, graduating and getting into a college. So the ultimate goal is becoming a doctor or a lawyer or whatever your dream job is. So if we focus on that dream job, yeah, it's there in our minds, but we got to just put that up here on a shelf and focus on the short-term goals that'll lead us to the midterm goals. Because that doctor, it could be so overwhelming. And then all of those things of why people don't achieve their goals, why people fail at their goals, is because they might be focused on that bigger picture and not focused on the small things they need to do. So that brings us to the SMART goals, and Caitlin mentioned one of them about being attainable or realistic here. So once we have this SMART goal, or once we have that goal set, we have to pass it through the SMART acronym here. It needs to be specific, concrete, specific. I can't just say, I want to lose weight. That's not a specific goal. A specific goal would be, I want to lose 30 pounds. That's pretty specific. All right. So is it measurable? Can I measure if I lost 30 pounds or not? Yeah, I can jump on the scale and that's easy to measure. Is it attainable? 30 pounds, it's attainable. Is it relevant in my life? Why do I want it? Right? How will it change my life? What are the benefits that will come of it? Is it relevant? Do I really need it? And is it time bound? So if I want to lose 30 pounds in, let's say, the next month, I'm going to put a time bond on it here. Is that realistic, 30 pounds in a month? So let's look at it. So now 30 pounds a month, is that specific? Yeah, it's pretty specific. 30 pounds in a month. So whatever 4 divided by 30 is, how many pounds do I have to lose in a week? 5? I can't do math.
Don't listen to me. It's 7 or 8.
Is it? Okay.
Thanks, Alex.
So that would be, let's say, 7 pounds a week. All right, so that's pretty specific. Is it measurable? Yeah, at the end of the week, I jump on the scale and I measure, did I lose 7 pounds this week? Is it attainable? 7 pounds a week, is that attainable? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I don't really think it's attainable. If it is, it might be unhealthy. So it might not be attainable. Maybe 2 pounds a week might be attainable. Is it relevant, 7 pounds a week? Yeah, it's relevant. I could do that, but is it relevant to my health? Is it going to hurt me? And it is time bound. But every time you make a goal and you pass it through the SMART acronym here, you can really hone that goal. Hone it, and hone it. So now if I say I want to lose 30 pounds in the next 3 months, and I want to lose 2 pounds a week. Is that specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Yes. I just jump on the scale every week and see if I met it. Is it attainable? Yes, that's an actual attainable goal. Is it relevant? Sure it is, because I'm going to feel pretty good about myself, and I'm going to be able to, run and play with my kid again. I'm going to get rid of some aches and pains possibly. And time bound, yes, it is time bound, and I'm going to meet that goal. So I love this SMART goal setting. And also in this life skills book that we go and teach in elementary schools, middle schools, high school. This is the high school one. They have the steps for successful goal setting. Measurable steps, and I would pass it through the SMART acronym here. When do I start? That's that time bound, and write down when you're going to start. Resources needed. What do I need for this? Do I need a tutor? Do I need to buy some books? Do I need to buy running shoes? Do I need to buy exercise equipment? Then did I achieve it? So once we start measuring it, whether it's weekly, monthly, yearly, did I achieve it? And then the last one is why or why not? And what is the solution? And then you start it over again. Now, this next section here, I'm not very versed on it, but after the SMART goals in my research, when I was putting this together, I came across OKRs. And this is more business orientated on how these big like Google and Twitter and all these kind of companies kind of just skyrocketed. And they all use these OKRs, their objectives and key results. So they say the objective and key results. First, you ask why. It must have meaning and purpose. It's kind of like our assessment of those goals. What will this change do for me? What's the why behind this goal? So the objective is the want. Why do you want it? I want to accomplish this. They're large, aspirational goals. They're huge goals. Then the key results are the how I'm going to do it. And I'll give you some examples in a second. The objectives, they need to be significant. They need to be concrete. They need to be inspirational. The objective is that top goal you want to meet. It's not easy, and they're not projects. We're just talking about that goal. What do you want? That goal. Now, the key results, these are specific. What key result do you want to reach that goal? They're quantifiable. They have to be measurable. They need to be objectively graded. And the challenging thing, they need to be challenging. So if you had this big objective, if you get 75% of the key results done, you're on the right track. That is awesome. So if it doesn't have a number, it's not a key result. You need to be concrete. And I'll have an example in a second, so it'll make more sense. So key results are not binary. It's not if you did it or if you didn't do it. And it's not tasks to be achieved. It needs to be measured. If you can't measure it, it's not a key result. So it's not the tasks, and it's not a yes or no. So here's an example. This is from like a bank or something, or business. Their objective is they want to achieve record third quarter revenues. That's great. Their key results now are achieve $1,000 in new revenue, $1,000 in new revenue, to reduce customer churn by 15 to 10%, and to onboard 300 new clients. That's the key results. Now they're going to have to focus on reaching those key results. And then when they do, they have to measure it and assess it. Example 2. Maybe this is for the youth out there about YouTubing, your Twitter account, going viral. You want to open up a company. So the objective is making your company or your YouTube video go viral. That's the objective. The key results now are generating 100,000 views on YouTube. I want to get 10,000 new followers on Instagram. I want to increase organic search traffic to our website by 20%. So you write those down. So now you are going to try to do that. Now you're going to have these tasks which are going to do that. And then at the week or the month or the quarter, you're going to measure it. Well, I didn't get 100,000 new views, but I got 10,000 views. All right, you got 10,000 views. I didn't get 10,000 new followers, but I got, about 1,000 new followers on Instagram. Well, great. It's not a failure. This isn't a pass or fail thing. These are the key results. And as long as you get 75% or 50%, then you just keep on looking at your objective, and then you write new key results. They did this with Google, and they said they wanted 100,000 hits on Google, and they only got like 10,000. And then they just kept going. The next quarter, they got 100,000. The next quarter, they got 1 million. The next quarter, they got 10 million and things like that. So we have our objective, and then we have our key results. What results do you want? And then you focus on the tasks to get that result. All right, so this little quote here, contrary to popular belief, habits do not take 30 days to make or break. Habits are a lifetime evolution of thoughts, actions, self-discipline, and end results. In order to get out of your rut, you have to be able to change old habits from new ones. And this is the quote that I forgot in the beginning. And it says, to make a new habit, you have to do it 21 times. Has anybody ever heard of that number 21 to start a new habit? And that 21, just to give you a little history, they got that 21 times of doing the same thing from military folks that were amputees from the military. So if somebody lost an arm or a leg, they would be in a room and be introduced to somebody in the room, and somebody who didn't have an arm, they would gesture to shake the person's hand, but remember, I don't have an arm. Or if they lost their legs, they would gesture to get up out of the wheelchair and realize they don't have legs. And they said that the amputees, they did that about 21 times before their brain realized and understood that they didn't have those limbs to do those movements. And that's where they came up with that philosophy that it takes 21 times to create a habit. Well, folks, we come to the end of our presentation today. Comments, concerns, interests? Anybody taking notes and maybe doing a little assessment on their objectives or the things they want to change? Now, the last series of presentations here, Caitlin is going to send Tony a link to a SurveyMonkey, and we would like a little feedback, evaluations of the presentations that you attended. So just look at them overall. We should have did it like one by one thing here, but we didn't think about it till now. So if you could take a moment to click on that SurveyMonkey link and just do a little evaluation of the past presentations, from those drug prevention presentations that Christina did to some of the professional development trainings that I did. It really helps us to have feedback to grow and know what to add and what to improve or take out of our presentations. I appreciate your time, your interests. I hope everybody is getting some little details, whether to use themselves or to educate and inspire others.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys for attending. Great presentation as always. Excellent FYI point on where the 21 days came,
Yeah.
because I had no idea, and very eye-opening, very sombering.
Yeah. I was going to this gym on 8 Mile and I-94. I forgot the name of it. This was years ago. And I live on 10 Mile, and I go down the ramp onto the expressway, and there's this sewer, this bump in the slow lane right when I got on, right before like 9 Mile, it would boom, boom. And I would get so angry, darn it, I hit that hole. I'm like, tomorrow, and I was laid off for 30 days in the restaurant, and the country club were closed for 3 months. And I was going every day to the gym. So I go down the ramp, I hit that bump again. I'm like, darn it, I hit the bump again. Tomorrow I'm going to remember. The next day I go down the ramp, I hit that bump again. I'm like, darn it, what? Come on, think there's a bump. I don't want to hit that bump. And I wish I would have kept track of how many times it took me to avoid that bump, but it had to be somewhere around the 21 days.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but every time I went down that entrance ramp, went about a half a mile, I hit that bump over and over and over again. And I would tell myself, there was a bump there, don't hit that bump. But the next day I would hit it. And now here it is 10 years later or more, it's probably been more. I go down that entrance ramp and they fixed the bump already. But every time I go down that entrance ramp, I remember, hey, there was a bump here. Or when the bump was there, I would avoid the bump. And even though that bump is fixed, I remember, and I still move over even though the bump isn't there anymore.
Wow.
So I actually lived that 21-day experience.
Wow. Good deal. All right. Well,
Okay.
we will see you
Enjoy.
guys.
Thank you, Gerald.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We
Good
will
information.
see you guys next Tuesday, and next Tuesday, we will be discussing discipline.
Discipline or goals and misbehavior. I forgot the list, but yes.
And these principles are from the perspective of parenting, but they can be applied to the classroom and students and your relationship as teacher and student as well.
Yes, and these skills, they could be used just in any relationship. They are just relationship human skills. But
Good.
yes, there is going to be a parent-child focus, but you can use them in any relationship.
Good deal. All right, well, thank you guys again for attending.
Thank you.
And we'll
All
see
right.
you all next week.
See you next week. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thank
All
you.
right.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you for joining us for another social emotional workshop. That's all we have for today, and we will see you next week, next Tuesday. Have a great day, everyone.